Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So something weird is happening in the world as of now. Many nations around us are failing. For example, if you consider Sri Lanka's economy, it's failing. If you consider Pakistan's economy, it is failing. Even if you look at the developed world, for example, if you look at Canada, it is currently undergoing a massive economic crisis. UK is going a massive economic crisis. Its economy is shrinking, cost of living is rising, etc. etc. Even if you speak about the financially most powerful nation in the world, which is the US, all of us can understand that, hey, going forward, the US dollar is going to get weakened and there will be a stage when the entire US economy is going to pay the price. So which brings us to a very important topic for today, where I will speak about that how do you analyze that the nation where you are living in, is it on the right track or is it on its path to failure? This is a very important topic to analyze because most of us keep on pouring money into a particular economy. कि यार stock investing करते चले जाते हैं and in the next 20-30 years our wealth will become like so much. Please understand a very basic point that post 1990 the internet adoption was really fast in the world. It has been approximately 30-35 odd years and the world has witnessed real growth in productivity. In fact, some cities, for example Hyderabad, Bangalore, etc., they have entirely been built because internet as a revolutionary thing came into the world. But any new major innovation is happening in the world. The short answer is you would say that, hey, artificial intelligence, machine learning, that stuff. But the commercial applications are still not there. No major innovation technically has happened in the world in the last 20-30 odd years. And many economies are now paying the price. And that is the real reason why many of these economies have started to fail. So on this video, what I'm going to do is that number one, I'm going to help you understand the framework as to how to analyze if a nation is on a bad path or not. There are 11 key indicators that I will share. Number two, I will help you understand that if you feel that the nation where you are living in, it's not on the good path, it is actually on the path to failure, so to say, what is it that you should be doing? Please note that this is not a politics video. I do not care who comes to power, BJP, Congress, AAP, this, that stuff. I will use some examples from India, but that does not mean that I'm giving you one-sided story about India, all this stuff. In fact, I'll not give you much story about India to begin with. I'll share the framework, you guys apply and see for yourself. This video is geared towards non-political people who are hardworking, who are young, who are looking to work hard to make a better future for themselves and their families. In case you're new to my channel, my name is Akshat Shrivastava. I actually study the investing world as a living. I run my hedge fund currently. In the past, I had worked with BCG, Dalberg, top tier management consulting firms. And as of today, I am running a fund. I am understanding the world by practically visiting different regions across the world, understanding their macroeconomic landscape and sharing all these learnings with you. So number one, please press the like button, and number two, please subscribe to this channel. It would allow these type of videos to reach out to more people. So let's start with number one question, that okay, why do I need to even worry about this topic? I see growth everywhere, right? Everything is growing. So why should I worry about growth? Actually, the world is not growing, to be honest. Its growth rate is slowing down. There is a lot of regional conflicts that are arising. The world is currently operating on debt. Debt leke ameer banna and real terms of ameer banna are two very, very different things. A classic case study, and I'll speak from my own personal experience here. So I used to consult students to get into top tier MBA schools, and one of my clients or a pair of my clients, they got into INSEAD Business School, right? And this couple was from Lebanon. And when they were working with me, they had saved enough money in a Lebanese bank account in order to pay their fees for INSEAD. Now the fees for INSEAD is like 85-90 lakhs, somewhere around that. So it's expensive, right? And these people worked really hard, saved a lot of money. And then Lebanon introduced something called as capital control, right? So capital control ka matlab ye tha ki you cannot actually withdraw your money, right? Or send it to INSEAD in terms of depositing your fee. On top of that, the currency of Lebanon was depreciating almost every single month, and it was witnessing a major currency crisis. So to cut the long story short, these people would have saved an equivalent of roughly $200,000. But dekhte dekhte aankhon ke samne, right? I mean that the worth of that $200,000 became like $50,000 literally in a matter of months. So this is one of the key reasons why you need to worry about international diversification. Do not depend on one source country, so to say, and be pragmatic in terms of your approach, because ab din bhar stock investing karte rahoge, assuming ki 15% बढ़ जाएगा, 20% बढ़ जाएगा, this, that stuff, might not happen, but all your decades and decades of hard work can go to ruin if something like this situation happens in your source country. Now, I'm not saying that this will happen in India, not happen in India, because अगर मैं अपनी opinion देने लग गया तो then a lot of unnecessary political hatred will spread, and my job is not that. So what I will now do is that I will share 11 key points with you, how you can analyze if a country is on the wrong path or the right path. If a country is on the wrong path, then it is going downhill and bad things are going to happen in that country eventually, sooner rather than later. These are long macro cycles, so it can take decades to unroll, but it will start having impact on you in very practical terms. So let me take you through the list first and foremost, and then I will give you some commentary around economics on that. Okay, so the first key sign of a failing nation is that the political discourse becomes extremely distasteful, and politicians do not want to listen to each other, and there is all day bickering, meme making and whatnot. Now, for example, consider the case study of the US. When Donald Trump lost the election, he instigated his followers to go and capture Capitol Hill, which is the main building in Washington. Now, this is extremely distasteful, so to say, because it goes against the ethos of democracy, so to say, कि भाई अगर if you have lost the election, then lose it respectably. Now, this is what happened there. Now, again, Donald Trump is in the running for fighting the presidential election race again. So yeah, so the political standard has really gone down in a country like US. So I'm just using it as an example. And you will see it being extremely distasteful. So that's the point, because there is always animosity between political parties. That is different. But if the nature of that animosity turns to be distasteful, कि आपके वो उठा के जेल में डाल देंगे, and आपके ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, the way it happens in Pakistan and all that. So it is a very bad sign for any nation. What you need to understand is that while we talk about finance on this channel, it is equally important to be cognizant of politics, because politics define economics defines finance/stock markets. So we have to keep an eye out for politics from that lens. Second key point is that the media is cornered and it becomes a state-driven agency more than anything else. What ends up happening is, if the entire media just speaks about one party, one politician, all good things, no one questions them, then all the important discourses that need to happen do not happen, because आपको सिर्फ एक ही चीज दिखाई जाएगी, that is called as repeatability. This modus operandi was run by Hitler also, and I'll put a snippet. So you can see that Joseph Goebbels was appointed as the Minister of Propaganda in 1933, and he controlled the media and arts, making sure that Germans were fed Nazi ideology while censoring other information. Now this is very, very important, because it essentially kills rational thinking abilities of the general masses, and that is the primary goal of a bad political state. So this is number 2. Number 3, the clean wealth builders start leaving the nation. This is happening across many nations. For example, in China, many rich people are leaving China because of massive state surveillance, and a lot of rich people are building careers, life outside China, so to say. Fourth point, that there is clear death of education. Your textbooks become biased. A lot of negative things happen in education. Old leaders are painted with a really bad light. There is just bickering. The curriculum itself is changed. No rational thinking is tried to develop in the masses. The standard of education goes down. Even if you're going to school, you are indoctrinated on a particular ideology. So all those are negative things and clear telltale signs that a nation is going to see the bad effects of this particular change in the next 1 to 2 decades. Then comes the fifth data point, which is around data manipulation. See, data manipulation happens everywhere. For example, when you're going and applying for a job, आप भी resume पे बड़ा चढ़ा के चीजें बताते होगे. It's very normal. Almost every job seeker does it. But there is a difference between pumping up of data and telling absolute lies. For example, when I speak with absolute newbies, right, who do not understand Indian economy much, and their viewpoint is, you know what, यार GDP बढ़ती चली जा रही है, GDP बढ़ती चली जा रही है, we have become the third biggest GDP, and फटाफट first भी हो जाएंगे and all that stuff. Okay, fine, but you have been regurgitated a wrong data point. You actually need to understand the concept of GDP per capita. Now, India की population is like 15-20% of the entire world. Of course, GDP will be high. At least understand what the meaning of GDP is. What is the meaning of GDP per capita? Look at 3-4 more data points, then reach the conclusion whether the economy is growing or shrinking, so to say. Now comes the sixth point, which is understanding the real growth rate or real wealth growth of a particular nation. Now, apply brain and think about why would a country become richer? Well, in very simple terms, very, very easy to simple terms, macroeconomics से चक्कर में ना पड़े, and simple, आप सोचें कि, for example, if India is exporting high value services and we are getting money into the nation, जो Americans खरीद रहे हैं, Japanese people are buying from India, etc. And India is getting a lot of foreign exchange back into the country. That is real wealth growth. At one point in time, India was said to be a सोने की चिड़िया, golden bird. Please go and Google it, read कि उस टाइम पे क्या होता था. Were we a net exporter, net importer? What type of things we used to export? What was the difference between export and import? And make your own call. Is right now where we are. Are we exporting more, importing more, and for how many years? We run a consistent trade deficit and the value of our currency keeps on going down in real terms. Just for context, here's a graph. So in 2014, when I went to INSEAD, $1 was roughly around 61, 62 rupees. Right now, it is at 84-ish rupees ke aspas. So there has been a 36, 37% fall in INR. Now, very honestly, if I were born 10 years later, I could not have afforded to go to INSEAD, so to say. Yes, I went on scholarship, but भाई वहाँ पे रहने खाने का खर्चा and all that stuff, I had to bear it on my own pocket, so to say. मेरे पास इतने पैसे होते ही नहीं, right? So if I were born 10 years late, I would not have gone to INSEAD to begin with. That's the reality, and this is a stark realization that many people might be having. And this is happening because in real terms, are we becoming richer? The short answer is no. Okay, so the next related point would be around weakening of currency. Basically, होता ही है कि when political parties speak about INR falling or INR trending, they give a political color to it. कि यार इंडिया का INR 2-3 महीने से in 2-3 years it has gone up, so it's good. Or it has fallen for 2-3 years, so it's bad. No, it's not as simple as this. You need to see this in context of export minus import. Now, in simple terms, it means that, for example, if INR is falling, but India is exporting more in context to its import, that's a good sign. The currency depreciation has actually helped improve our exports. But if opposite is happening, it's a problem. A classic case study would be China. कि China में हुआ क्या था? They were able to build their entire economy by devaluing its currency because they were able to export more. So this is a point that no one actually teaches, right? I'm trying to teach this so that you can apply the principles, see it, whether this is happening in India or not. Next point would be, and again, this brings us to the human psychology of things, that this is not a finance related point, but it has got to do everything with human psychology. That if slowly your nation, wherever you are living, it starts turning into an attack-based system. If you say anything about anything wrong in a particular country, you are an anti-nationalist. Then what will happen? Then people will not speak about any improvements that could be made. People would be scared to point to any deficiencies. And then a bunch of people start assuming that, hey, you know what, everything is great in the nation. Now that is a clear telltale sign of a downward sloping economy. Next point is the rise of crony capitalist. This is a very important point. The model has played out everywhere, right? From Mexico to Venezuela, all failed economies, Russia. In all these countries, the politicians worked hand in glove with crony capitalists, and they figured out a way to transfer public wealth to private hands. Now, hota kya hai ki when you discuss these type of topics, people just do not know how to analyze it. It's not about that whether a company X, whichever that company is, a private company, that is adding GDP to our country or not. The point is that for every favor that they have been given in the form of corporate tax waivers or lowering of corporate taxes or additional loans that are given to them on timely manners or support on their stock fall or whatever it is, are they adding adequate strength to our economy and transferring some amount of wealth to the general public? If the short answer is no, it's a problem. Now, in India's context, I will again encourage you to think, look at majority of the capitalists who have risen recently. I will not name them. Now you tell me that you guys are using like Gmail, you are using Google products on everyday basis, Meta products on everyday basis. You are Indians and you are using American company products. Now, do you see Americans using Indian company products? Name them, right? Name them in the list below. Those are the companies that are actually bringing wealth to India. So now, if that is not happening, सारी की सारी selling India में हो रही है, regulation लगा के and all that stuff. Now, how are those companies benefiting India? That's a question to be discussed. The next point has to do with the stifling of innovation because it actually benefits the crony capitalist. And यहाँ पे regulation का सहारा लिया जाता है, right? So regulation means what? That you know what? We don't like this industry, let's kill it. Okay, so I will speak from a practical example around cryptos. जैसे cryptos की जब भी बात करी जाती है कि यार scam है, terrorism होता है, ये होता है, वो होता है. There are systems that will get built, and a lot of countries, for example, be it UAE or Portugal, they are very favorable in terms of their crypto regulations, crypto standards. People who are looking to build companies in the crypto space, almost all of them have left India. They have migrated to Dubai. Now, अब ऐसा तो है नहीं कि Dubai बेकार country है, वहाँ पे wealth नहीं growth हो रही है and all that stuff. ठीक है, they also have a bunch of their problems, but they are favorable in terms of regulation. So if you are an entrepreneur looking to experiment with the next big idea. You will be a little bit scared कि देखो यार क्रिप्टो के साथ तो ऐसा हो गया, अब now if I AI ML के साथ if I do something, man, I'll be messed up. So let me leave and let me go to geographies where there is support for innovative ideas. Final point is regarding when the general janta starts considering public leaders as semi-gods or gods. This was the case in 1930s Germany when Hitler was considered as a demigod. This is the case even in Russia where Mr. Vladimir Putin is considered as a god by many. Now comes the natural second part. Okay, fine, I will analyze these 11 points, make a conclusion whether we are on the right track or not. What do we do if we are not on the right track? So I have 7 solutions for you. So I will take them to you point by point. Point number 1 is that you should buy inflation hedges. For example, consider the case study of Pakistan, Sri Lanka. People who were holding Pakistani rupee or Sri Lankan rupee, the value of that currency that you held, it just went to bonkers. It did not lead to anything much. But on the flip side, if you are holding a land in Pakistan or Sri Lanka, did it go down in value? Yes, it did. But still, the value retains of assets. Now, with the level of debt printing that is happening in the world, currency or hard cash, it loses its value really, really fast. So be very cognizant that you convert most of your money or opportunity money into assets fairly quickly. Number 2 point, that you should own income generating assets outside your source country. Now, what is the meaning of this? For example, if you're owning US stocks, that's an income generating asset. If you're owning a house in Thailand or in Dubai, that's an income generating asset outside your base country. These options can be executed. In fact, I teach macro courses. I teach courses on real estate. In fact, I'm launching a new course on real estate where I will talk about Dubai real estate, Thai real estate, excellent options. If you are interested, do sign up for the course. So it's in pre-launch phase. There is some discount going on. So in case you consider it to be useful, definitely sign it up. I have spoken from my personal experiences. I have actually been to these physical locations, scouted some real estate, shared the entire process, how you can go about it. I am an industry practitioner. I teach whatever I learn by visiting different countries, bringing those macroeconomic viewpoints for all of you for your benefit. So, okay, so this was a small plug. Now, let me go to point number 3, which is that you should have a low cost country where you could pick as an alternate. Now, you'll say कि यार India is a low cost country and India में सब कुछ ही सस्ता मिलता है. Yes and no. Okay. Now it depends on the segment in which you are in India. For example, if you are availing public health, public education, if you're depending on 5 rupee dal chawal, atta, rations, now the inflation for you is very low. Your cost of living is going to be really low. But on the flip side, if you are using airlines in India, if you're using private healthcare, abhi to private healthcare सस्ती है थोड़ी सी, give it like another 5-10 years, you will see what will happen in private healthcare space. Education is a classic case study right now, that if your kids are going to nursery in Hyderabad or Bangalore, tell me how much fees you are paying. बोलोगे यार ये तो बातूनी बातें हो गई, right? I mean, it's not like this. You are just making this stuff up. Okay, so let's use Google. Okay, go on Google and type out 2 destinations within Europe कि आपका कितना पैसा लगता है, right? In terms of taking a flight. Now do the same exercise. Mumbai to Hyderabad or Mumbai to Delhi. Look at how much money you are spending, right? And उसको आप PPC से करके देख लेना and all that stuff. You yourself will figure out that when it comes to middle class, upper middle class segments, the cost is really high in India now. This thing is only going to accelerate from this point. So having that option of living in a low cost country outside your base country, it's absolutely critical now. This thing will evolve in the next 4-5 odd years. Okay, so next point is around securing your assets. Now, what is the meaning of securing your assets? So मान के चलो कि that you have a house in India and the property tax in India is really low. Now, why is that the case? Because stamp duty in India is really high. Now, what if the government decides that, you know what, boss? Property tax is very low in India. Let's jack it up. Okay, so now they will raise it by a lot. What will you do? If you are sitting on a standard 2 BHK flat, you might have a really hard time liquidating or selling that flat. That's a problem. You have not securitized that asset, so to say, for you. This is a high risk asset that you're holding, and whenever any structural change in taxes happen, it will be a problem for you. On the flip side, something very similar happened in 2023 budget on debt mutual funds. कि debt mutual funds का indexation benefit खत्म कर दिया, massive taxation आ गया उस चीज पे, but people could exit because it was easy to liquidate. But this might not be the case on real estate on many parts. Okay, next point is very important. This is called as skill transfer point. See, many Western countries are getting older. Japan is already old. Now, if you can improve your skill set and figure out a way to work in Japan, the chances of you making money is much, much higher. So that's a skill that you need to pick up. What specific skills? That's a separate video altogether, but this is skill transfer point that you must understand. Sixth point is around wealth transfer. Now, wealth transfer का मतलब होता है कि see, if you have 100% of your wealth logged in a particular country, that is extremely dangerous, risky now. US dollar is going to get hurt in the future, and it is going to create ripple effects across the geographies and on many countries. We can't even understand what kind of impact it will have on countries like India, China, all that stuff. It remains to be seen, but any sensible person should be diversified, and again you need to internationally diversify. This is again a topic that I'm studying in extensive detail right now, and I will share all my learnings in the stock market live course as well. In fact, on the courses I can deep dive into a lot of points, so it becomes easier to teach. YouTube में fragmented teaching होती है. Final point is tax residency transfer. So tax residency transfer का मतलब होता है कि for example, if you are a tax citizen of a particular country and if the taxation system becomes regressive, then what option do you have? Therefore, it's important to keep a handle of your taxes, have some options in terms of transferring your tax residency. This is a complicated topic, but this is a point for you to further investigate. So these 7 points, I will recommend that you start learning more about it. This is not a comprehensive video on this topic. If you guys want me to pick any of these segments and explain it more, I'm happy to do it. Again, the objective of this video was not to scare you, but to give you a framework and an understanding of how you can approach wealth building. Now, in case you are looking to build wealth in India, investing in the stock market is one of the primary ways. Developing a good portfolio is one of the primary ways. So go and check out this video.